Many, many years ago, young Christian, come home one day, go to bed, and the next thing I know, I am standing in front of a brilliant white light. Maybe an experience similar to what a lot of people that have had near-death experiences and that sort of thing, maybe something like what they report. The next thing I know, I am falling through the air, and it all feels very, very real to me, not like a dream at all, very vivid. Brilliant light is moving away from me very quickly. And the next thing I know, the weirdest thing in the world, I literally watched the roof of my house went around me and bam, landed on my bed. But then I wake up and literally sat up in bed and I took in a very deep breath and I'm sitting there and I realize I'm awake now, or I'm back now, or whatever that was, I'm back in this muted matrix reality. And I'm sitting there for a moment and I hear weeping. And I look over and here's my beautiful young wife, Nita, and she's sitting up in bed and she's crying. And I start saying, babe, what's the matter? What's the matter? Well, long story short, she had woke up in the middle of the night and I was dead. For years following that, we would not talk about that with anybody. Now, as a new convert, I'm praying every single day because it doesn't make any sense to me at all. And I'm asking God, why would you have shown me something and then tell me I'm not going to remember what it is? That just didn't make any sense at all. I also happen to be praying, reading through the Bible for the first time in my life. About 4 or 5 weeks after this experience, I'm reading through the book of Job. I'm in Job chapter 33, and suddenly my eyes fell on these words: "For God may speak once, yea, twice, yet man perceives it not. In deep sleep, in slumbering upon the bed, then God opens the ears of the righteous and seals their instructions within them in order to hide pride from man and to withdraw man from his purpose." It was deeply meaningful, and here I am, a baby Christian, but I understood instantly what I had read. And I didn't understand all of the mysteries around it and how at different points in my life later on I would go back to that original panoramic vision and catch glimpses of it, and it would be used by God to help guide me. And I even understood why it says to hide. He doesn't let you remember because he's hiding pride from man. Because, as a young Christian, if I could have then seen prophecy watchers talking to Gary Stearman, what would I have done? I would have aimed at it and I'd have done everything I could do to make it happen. And I would have never went through the course of life where you learn all the things that you need to learn that temper who you are and then ultimately qualify you to be able to be there, right? To withdraw man from his purpose and to hide pride from man, because the other part of it is, as a young kid, I might have been lifted up in pride too, to think of myself as more than what I should. And life experiences have a way of beating that out of you over time, teaching you how to be humble and to carry yourself in a way that you realize that in the long run, you really are only a part of a larger plan. You're a part. You're one of the puzzle pieces, and you're given certain responsibilities. And yeah, even pastoring helped to mold a part of me that benefits now the way I view the world and maybe my ability to speak or something. So here's what happened. As you know, over a year ago, the book was released by Charisma that I wrote called The Wormwood Prophecy. And I'm doing shows all over the place. God gave me some great opportunities to be on really all of the major Christian networks. And but it was when I was on my own television program, Skywatch TV, and Derek Gilbert was interviewing me. And I'm explaining to him that if I am right, if Apophis, the asteroid, which is really what the book, the Wormwood Prophecy, is about, comes out of the sky, and it refers to it as a star, which is the Greek word aster, from which we make asteroid. So it, to me, sounds very much like it's describing a giant space rock that falls to the earth. During the writing of the Wormwood Prophecy, in 1 month alone, there were 4 different asteroids, 2 or 3 that actually entered into the Earth's atmosphere and burnt up.
Wow.
One of them that came very close that they called a city killer, and in every case, they never even saw them coming. Now, I've asked other people, Mike Heiser, I asked him when I was writing the book, The Wormwood Prophecy, does he believe that it's an asteroid, which is what it sounds like. He thought it could be, but he said if you were to ask, the early church fathers, they thought maybe it was something more like a fallen angel. And then I asked, can it be both? And I think that's kind of where I came down, and maybe he did too, that it can be a literal physical space rock, but this thing's under command of an angelic force that's using it as a judgment from God. Now, how do we know that could be true? Because in Revelation 9, it says, and a star fell from heaven, having the keys to the bottomless, and unto him were given the keys to the bottomless pit. So now it's a personal pronoun. Wait a minute, an asteroid fell from heaven, and unto him is given. So anyway, I was talking to Derek Gilbert on our program about how, if I am right, and if Apophis turns out to be the object that is mentioned in Revelation chapter 8, then the original date that NASA gave for the near flyby, aka possibly impact of Earth, is Friday the 13th, April 2029. And therefore, I was saying to Derek, some people, if Tom Horn's right, then they're going to say, well, then that would make 2029 the middle of the Great Tribulation period. And therefore, other people might also back up 3.5 years to try to find the approximate start date for the Great Tribulation period. Now, Tom Horn's not prophesying. I'm just saying there's a lot of very strange stuff about the year 2025 that compel me to write the messenger, one of which is the fact that it is 3.5 years away from the arrival of Apophis. But here's the kicker. So Derek's listened to me talk about this on our program, right? And he's sitting over there, but he's got an iPad, and the back of it's to me, so I don't even know what he's doing, but he's over there doing something on his iPad. Well, what he had done was he had opened a Hebrew calendar, and he had taken the date that NASA gave, Friday the 13th, April 2029, and backed up 3.5 years, and he found out that 3.5 years earlier to the day is in the middle of the Feast of Tabernacles, which many end times scholars believe is one of the likely candidates for either the rapture or the second coming. But he found that it wasn't just the middle of Tabernacles, it was the 5th day. The 5th day of the Feast of Tabernacles was the day that the ancient Hebrews celebrated God, delivering them from the gods of Egypt, Apophis of which was the primary god of chaos or of darkness, a satanic figure that wars against the light. They celebrated in antiquity that very day, God delivering them from Apophis. I mean, wrap your mind around that. 3.5 years to 2029 is exactly the day that Apophis could strike the earth. So is that a coincidence? Well, the more I looked into 2025, the more I uncovered that there is a lot about 4 years from now that is very ominous looking and sounding. In my opinion, it is more likely than not, and that's the strongest I've ever said, to me, more likely than not, that it represents the beginning of the Great Tribulation period.
This has been the Confidential Report. For even more stories like this one, make sure to subscribe to our channel today. And please show your support by clicking the like button on this video. For even more stories and news you deserve to know the truth about, follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you for watching the Confidential Report.